final weekend review of the 2017-2018 season. But don't worry, I'll have tons of content coming at you before, during, and after the World Cup, all damn summer long. Who am I? I'm Adrian, and welcome to Rabona TV's weekend review, where we typically focus on the top 5 leagues and add in a bonus league. But considering it's the final weekend of league and cup action for most countries, I figured we'd do a little European wrap-up. If this interests you and you're new to our channel, then be sure to hit subscribe and join our growing community. Let's start with an in-depth look at the royal wedding from this weekend in London. Now, at a total cost of $45 million, this was one of the... I'm joking, I know nothing about it besides the costs. Let's do the other big event in England from this past Saturday, the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester United. Just to quickly go over the events of the match, well, there's not a ton to talk about opportunities-wise. At least not much in terms of dangerous opportunities. Hazard tested De Gea with a sharp-angled shot early. A little later, Bakayoko was tripped up just inside the 18-yard box, but nothing was given there. However, just 7 minutes later, Phil Jones found himself in a spot of bother, racing Hazard back towards his own goal, and tackled through Hazard to get to the ball. Yellow card for Jonesy boy, and a penalty for Hazard that he slotted away coolly. That was his 17th goal across all competitions, equaling his career high from the 2014-15 season. And with that being the only goal of the game, Chelsea won their 8th FA Cup, tied for 3rd behind United and Arsenal for the most FA Cup titles. My hopes personally weren't too high for an entertaining final going into this one, considering that both teams have employed some pretty boring tactics at times this season. And with that being considered, then I gotta ask you guys, who had a better season? In your opinion, and if you're a United fan, would you trade your 2nd placed finish for 5th place in an FA Cup? And if you were a Chelsea fan, would you trade your 5th place finish in FA Cup for a 2nd place finish and no trophies? It's a tough one. Personally, I'd take... Now, you'll have to excuse me if you've heard this from me already, but it feels like an apt time to bring it up again. I used to be a big fan of Jose Mourinho when he was representing Portugal at the club level, unfortunately with Porto, winning titles domestically, winning the UEFA Cup, and then the Champions League the next season. Going to Chelsea and dominating, leaving Chelsea and going to Inter where he won a treble. I thought that he was one of the best managers of all time, and on that trajectory, I thought that he was on his way to being the best manager of all time. And I still want to like him. I still want to be able to defend him, but I'm having a really difficult time doing so. Mourinho's teams were never really known for playing the most expansive football ever, but they never played as boring of a brand of football as they do now. I was scrolling through Reddit and I saw an article headline that read, quote, Jose Mourinho's mistrust of entertainment leaves trophies as his sole currency, and another chance has gone begging. And isn't that sad but true for Mourinho at the moment? Now, we can't forget, he is still in his 2nd season, and hey, with a few good bits of business this summer, who's to say that United won't be a completely different team next season? It's not as if they don't have talented players in that squad. So, on that same note, I'm a bit tired of hearing the moaning about Mourinho not having the team he wants. In the Porto, Chelsea, and Inter eras I mentioned before, Mourinho was undoubtedly one of the best brains in the game, and I don't believe that he is finished as a manager. There still has to be a bit of that former genius in there. But as the article said, his only currency lately to keep him at the top managers talk is the fact that one way or another, his team wins a trophy. So, after a trophyless season where at times United were playing some of the most boring football of the top 6 teams, what's next for him? Personally, I'd love to see him go to a smaller club. I'd love for him to stop moaning about the players he has and stop throwing them under the bus and to just manage. Sure, admittedly, there are some players at United that are total crap, but it's your job as a manager to get the best out of the team. You built your career on that, getting the most out of your players, and essentially that's what a manager is paid to do when you boil it all down. He went from saying whatever the hell he had to get the reporters' attention away from his players. Now, he does everything he can to get the reporters' attention on the players and away from him. It's a massive change in his MO, and I don't really like it. But anyway, let's move on from that. Rant over. And remember, like I said, the 3rd season could be a massive change, but judging Mourinho by his managerial style trajectory since he was at Real Madrid, don't expect too much change. Hopefully, he surprises us though. Okay, have you guys been following what's happening to Sporting Clube de Portugal lately? With the ultras attacking the players, their insane president, etc. If there's an interest in it, I'd gladly do a video on that situation. Just let me know in the comments. But the reason I bring them up is because Sporting played their final match of the season this weekend in the Taça de Portugal final. Of course, there was talk of the players potentially not playing in this final, but they did, and maybe they'd wish they hadn't, as they lost the final to the 13th place Deportivo das Aves, 2-1. That was Aves' first ever major trophy, as Sporting's nightmare continues. And judging by the looks on certain players' faces, that was it for them with Sporting. Especially if you look at the reaction from Rui Patricio, who was sobbing. He's been with Sporting forever and honestly could play for a top club in Europe, and I think this was it for him. To give your all for the boyhood club that you've always loved and then to get attacked by the fake fans, get blamed for results, etc., it's brutal. He should definitely be on his way out. And you know what else should be out? Witchcraft in football. What is this?
Para agradecer o apoio dos muitos que viajaram desde o norte do país. Muitos deles levantaram-se às 5 da manhã para há uma bola a levitar que vai ter com Tiago Martins. É isso mesmo, vai encontrar.
I don't like it. Keep the dark arts out of football. You want another shocking result in a cup final? Well, how about the DFB Pokal final in Germany this weekend between Bayern Munich and Eintracht Frankfurt? Of course, the future manager of Bayern Munich is in fact Niko Kovac, the man who masterminded Frankfurt's fairy tale Pokal victory. The underdogs got off to a brilliant start when Kevin Prince Boateng played Ante Rebic through on goal, and the Croatian made no mistake, finishing coolly past Van Ulrich. That meant that Bayern went into halftime trailing in the cup final for the first time since 2012, which I believe was against Borussia Dortmund, but I'm not sure. Future Adrian will sort it out. Lewandowski leveled it 8 minutes into the second half, finishing off Kimmich's cutback. That was Lewandowski's 41st goal across all competitions and Kimmich's 15th assist, more than any other defender in the top 5 leagues of Europe. But Frankfurt and Rebic weren't finished there, as just 3 minutes after Bayern hit the crossbar from a corner, Danny da Costa hoofed a ball forward that Rebic outpaced both Süle and Hummels to and finished beautifully past Ulrich. To kill the game off, 5 minutes into added time, Mijat Gacinovic picked up on a cleared ball, and with Sven Ulrich forward for the corner, he just had to speed down the pitch and finish into an empty goal for a 3-1 scoreline. Cue the scenes. Not the prettiest display from Eintracht Frankfurt, but again, Bayern lacked quality in their finishing, hitting the bar on numerous occasions, missing golden opportunities. They did it to themselves, just as they did it to themselves in the Champions League. And with an aging squad, things are looking weird at Bayern, in my opinion at least. But anyway, what a gift from Niko Kovac, the guy who is leaving Frankfurt for Bayern. He leaves them with their first DFB Pokal title in 30 years and drops them into the Europa League. A massive congratulations to Frankfurt. He just sprinkled them in there, just a little salt-based sprinkle of Europa League action. In Turkey, Galatasaray were finally crowned as the Super League champions for a record 21st time. It was a pretty nervy affair for them until the league leading goal scorer Bafétimbi Gomis put away a penalty. A draw would have been enough, as even with Fenerbahce winning, they still would have had only 72 points to Gala's 73. But with the win, they end up with a relatively comfortable 3-point lead at the top. I say relatively comfortable because all season long, this league has been tight amongst the top 4 teams. But as I said, in the end, Galatasaray won the title, 3 points ahead of Fener and Başakşehir, and 4 ahead of Besiktas. In Spain, Barcelona rounded out the final match of the season at home against Real Sociedad, in a weekend where we bid farewell, or at least see you soon, to quite a few legends of the game. This match was no exception, with Andrés Iniesta taking part in his final match in a Barcelona shirt in front of the Camp Nou. The result was sort of a sub-headline in this one, though Barcelona did win 1-0 thanks to a goal from Philippe Coutinho. A banger, I might add. He's found good form going into the World Cup as he scored 7 and assisted once in his last 6 appearances. This match was all about bidding farewell to Iniesta, who was substituted out in the 80th minute so that the crowd had an opportunity to give him a standing ovation. Here's hoping he's coming to the MLS and not China. In Madrid, they also bid farewell to a club legend as Fernando Torres started and played in his final match in an Atletico Madrid shirt. It couldn't have gone much better for him, well, besides maybe getting a win, as the 34-year-old scored a brace in what was a 2-2 draw with Eibar. Now, come on over to the Montreal Impact, Fernando. You'll love it playing in a crap team in a great city. Real Madrid finished their La Liga season with a 2-2 draw against Villarreal after going 2-0 up after just 32 minutes thanks to goals from Bale and Ronaldo. Villarreal clawed their way back into this match and got a late equalizer through Samu Castillejo. Modric and Ronaldo were both taken off after an hour to save their legs for the Champions League final this weekend, but Zidane will be happy to see that Ronaldo got on the score sheet with a nice little flicked header. In Italy, Juventus said so long to Gigi Buffon, who earlier in the week announced that Saturday's match against Hellas Verona would be his last as a Juve player. Again, subbed off in order for the fans and the players to show their appreciation for him, rightfully tearful Buffon played his last moments with a Bianconeri in the 61st minute. Why was he subbed off then? In honor of his 6,111 days as a Juventus player. Signing with Juve in 2001, he appeared in 656 matches, kept 201 clean sheets, won the Serie A 9 times, 7 consecutively, 4 Coppa Italia, and won the Serie A Goalkeeper of the Year award on 10 occasions. What a legend. And I can't wait to see where he goes next. He's still got it at 40 years old. In the most important match of the weekend, Inter and Lazio squared off. Winner takes Champions League, but Lazio could have secured it with just a draw. Well, things got off to a great start for Lazio actually, as an Ivan Perisic own goal gave them the lead at the Stadio Olimpico. 20 minutes later, however, Danilo D'Ambrosio hooked the ball around Strakosha to tie it up, but Felipe Anderson finished off a stunning counter-attack to put Lazio ahead by 1 at the half. In the second, though it looked as if Lazio had things locked down as Inter's attack ran out of ideas, Mauro Icardi won a penalty and converted it to make it 2-2 with 12 minutes remaining. Also, that goal was his 100th for Inter in the Serie A and took him level with Ciro Immobile on 29 goals this season. A minute later, Senad Lulic lost his head a bit and grabbed his second yellow of the match, putting Lazio down a man with 11 minutes remaining. Again, Lazio just needed a draw to ensure they would be playing in the Champions League next season. But just 2 minutes after the red card, and that was enough for Inter to steal 4th place from Lazio and grab onto Champions League football for the 2018-2019 season. That sounds so weird. 2018-2019? Man, soon it's going to be 2019-2020. And, what else do I have? Oh, in France, the top 4 is obviously set now as the season concluded with Monaco in 2nd, Lyon in 3rd, and Marseille in 4th. PSG, who officially have Thomas Tuchel as their manager now, as he was unveiled this weekend, actually finished their season with no wins from their final 4 matches. Kind of disappointing. And in Scotland, Celtic won the Scottish Cup with a 2-0 win over Motherwell, and in Poland, Legia Warsaw were crowned as the champions for the 3rd consecutive season. And I think that's all I have for you guys. As per usual, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I will have some more content coming at you this week, don't you worry. Starting with an MLS review video for this weekend, which comes out a little bit later today. And maybe a little FIFA this week? We'll have to see. All right, guys, I'm Adrian. This is Rabona TV, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.